And when you are the operator in the field, you have a lot of autonomy in the moment, but you always know that your head is on chopping block when you go back to justify the decisions that you made.
Yeah. So the big mish is the big mish. The little intangibles you can wiggle.
Correct. As long as you can justify them. Yeah. And I mean, sometimes you have to fucking argue stupid shit, right? Like, why did you spend $200 on this dinner instead of $75 on this dinner? Yeah. So sometimes the stuff is stupid. But at the same time, I mean, sometimes the decision you make on the fly is what makes for mission success or mission failure, or 2 out of 5 objectives are successful, 3 out of 5 objectives are a miss. Like, that's the stuff that happens on the fly. Yeah. But for sure, when you're in the office, in the front office or the back office, when you're in the office, you don't get any autonomy. Yeah. Like, all you can do is ask for permission because you're in the office. So even though you know that what they need is a $100,000 cash infusion that has to get out tonight, you still have to ask before you send the infusion. In fact, the one of the big reasons I left CIA, when I left CIA, I was in Special Activities Division, Air Branch, as a full performance, above the bell curve kind of performer. And it was 2013, maybe, no, it was 2014. And I was a middle level manager. I had a supervisor above me, and then the person above my supervisor was the SAD director, Special Activities Director. That's where all of our Navy SEALs, Green Berets, they all end up in Special Activities Division. And we were supporting a counterterrorism operation through remote drone actions in an active zone of hostility. And my supervisor left for the day, went to go pick up his son or his child or something. He was gone for the day. And we got an emergency request in from the unit controlling the drones, and they were controlling the drones from a covert U.S. location. And they asked for a funding infusion. They needed a funding infusion in order to be able to execute some sort of order or payment that had to be done that night before the next day in order to keep the birds in the air. I had nobody to ask. My direct supervisor was gone. It was a funding request that was within tolerances of my approval authority, right? But my supervisor was gone. So I opted to approve the funding request.
Can you say how much it was for?
6 figures.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was less than $1 million. So I approved the funding request. It sat in the inbox for my supervisor. So I bypassed the inbox, called the budget and finance people myself, who I had built a relationship with, called the budget and finance people, said, hey, I have a request that needs to be approved tonight, 5 o'clock Eastern time. It needs to be approved tonight so that we can keep missions going tomorrow, mission critical funding decision. And they were like, okay, well, we need a supervisor's signature. And I was like, my supervisor's out for the day. I'm exercising my authority according to this bylaw or whatever, right? So one thing leads to another, money gets sent, mission continues, mission success, right? You see the hot spark in the ultraviolet spectrum, bad guys blow up, good guys sweep in, everything is a success. The next day, I get called into the office, not by my supervisor, but my director above him, who reads me the riot act about how I should have never approved that funding request without getting his permission first. I should have never called the head of budget and finance. It's not my job to work with the fucking penny pushers. It's my job to work with the operators. And I should have called the front office and gotten a meeting immediately with the director of SAD to get this thing approved. And of course I'm sitting there and they don't want to hear an argument. I'm right back to the military again. It's all yes, sir, no excuse, sir, right? That's what they're expecting. I'm sitting there, I'm like, I had the authority to make the decision. It's not a front office matter, right? There's a very clear threshold of when I'm supposed to interrupt your workday. This was not that matter. It just so happens that this guy had a beef with the head of budget and finance. So he was fucking chewing me out because he had a beef with budget and finance. Yeah. So he felt like my loyalty was misaligned. Army Ranger guy. So I was just like, that was the conversation where I was like, I did the right thing. I followed the rules. There was mission success. This is what I'm fucking trained and hired to do. And I'm still getting my ass chewed out. And when you get your ass chewed out in CIA, it's just like getting your ass chewed out in the military. It's not over with the chew out. Yeah. You know that you're on the fucking blacklist for at least 6 months, right? Yeah. You're going to miss the promotion. You're not going to get the good assignments. You're going to get all the late shifts. It sucks. what they didn't know is I had already asked myself the question of, is this what I want for my family? Yeah. When I got that lecture about loyalty and my loyalty to the director instead of my loyalty to the agency and the mission, it was clear that I was in the wrong place.
How is there not a protocol for your supervisor is out that you still have the ability to get a hold of him in the fucking CIA?
There is a protocol for that, but I think the bigger protocol is to call from the building to an external undercover officer creates a connection.
Oh, I got you.
Right? So we always have to be cognizant of our cover and our cover reasons for contacting, which is why we also have a protocol for when you don't have to call somebody in, right? Because it's like a 3-step process to call to make a classified line, a covert line, obfuscated to an open line, and then they have to call a different number to get to another open line that can make yourself a coded line, and it's just a pain in the ass.
I mean, can you just like send him a DM on Instagram? Like you send him a shamrock, he sends an eggplant back, and that means it's good.
That would be badass. Yeah. Hopefully they're doing that kind of thing now, right?
I mean, to me, that would make more sense.
# good day.
Yeah, or like it's like the way terrorists communicate playing fucking video games. It's like something that hiding in plain sight is probably smarter than trying to be ultra protective of it.
And well, that's what you're really talking about there is the fact that our bureaucracy keeps us from being nimble.
Yeah.
When you're a fucking, rock pounder, terrorist jihadi raghead, you can do whatever you want to do. You can come up with innovative ways to do shit because there's no bureaucracy. Yeah. So the eggplant shamrock works. Yeah. But when you're in fucking the government, you have to write a white paper about why shamrock and eggplant. And then you have to explain how you're going to guarantee that somebody doesn't accidentally fat finger unicorn instead of shamrock. Yeah. And it's just like, it's a pain.
It's a fucking mess.